Welcome to Pearced Off with myself, Jonathan M.S. Pearce, for the Skepticule Podcast, talking about philosophy, religion, politics, psychology, anything that really comes to mind that I think is worthy of talking about to stimulate the pulse. And I'm going to talk this time about Donald Trump because he's endlessly fascinating and scary at the same time. The idea that there's this ongoing sort of perpetuation of the Islamic victimhood narrative and terrorism that plays into the hands of Trump and back into the hands of the terrorists. So in the last couple of days there's been some bomb blasts and stabbings that might or might not be connected to Islam and to ISIS and fundamentalist extremism. And whether or not any of them were carried out in this instance by Islamic fundamentalists, this scenario is an easy one for the fundamentalists with a bent for terrorism to win. Creating chaos with bombs and killing stirs up a hornet's nest of anti-immigrants, anti-Islamic fear and panic. And this fear and panic play into the hands of Trump supporters and his sort of scarily widening support base, whipping up their phobic behaviour. And for those teetering on the edge of his core support, it will be enough to draw them in. And this is how it happens, and this is what I want you guys to talk about, this eventually self-perpetuating tragedy. First, people in society are afraid of terrorists and outsiders. That's just a simple fact of society, really, and part of our inherent psychology, that we distrust outsiders and vehemently fear terrorism and terrorists. Secondly, Trump plays into this to create a solid niche support base. So he's really playing to the white working class uneducated masses who take this really simplified idea that, you know, all immigrants are bad and Islamic immigrants are particularly bad and they are all terrorists. ISIS and any other nefarious group or individual recognize this, and they realise that creating more havoc will get Trump more support, and they want Trump elected because they know he will be Islamophobic. And that sounds a bit odd, doesn't it, that Islamic people, fundamentally Islamic people, want someone elected in America who hates them, because Islamophobia plays into the desires and the agenda of ISIS and any other kind of fundamentalist Islamic movement, plays into their narrative. If people fear Muslims, it creates an us and them culture, and this further alienates Muslims, as moderates and liberals will then be prejudiced against and tarred with the same brush as the fundamentalists and the terrorists. And this then forms a simplistic good guys, bad guys narrative. And the victim narrative that is played and perpetuated by the more hardline Muslims who claim oppression from the non-Muslim masses will feed into the moderates' fears that society really is against them. And in the case of a Trump administration, they really would be against them. So this then drives moderates into fundamentalism and into the arms of ISIS, and drives liberals to be more moderate and sympathetic of the hardliners. So the end result is everyone loses. Hardliners hate Trump by point of the fact that he most hates them, but they can most effectively use him by harnessing the hate he generates and hate he fuels in order to further their own agenda. So Trump is actually the fundamentalists' best friend, and this is the most terrible of ironies. So that's hopefully something for you guys to talk about. As ever, question everything. I've been Jonathan M.S. Pearce for this very short one. Drop by my blog at www.patheos.com/blogs/tippling, and my blog is A Tippling Philosopher. Cheerio.